Peace be with you. So today is Good Friday. This is when we remember the story of Jesus' last days, his final teachings, and his execution on a cross. Our tradition is to pull over here, to stop and slow down, to enter into this story and let it speak to us. And so as we begin our Good Friday service, here's the invitation to you. Be here. Be present. Be open. Let yourself enter into this story. Try to hear it as though you're hearing it for the very first time. Listen with more than your ears. And let it speak to you. As we walk through the story, we're going to stop for some pieces of music throughout it. Each one is designed to help pull you into the meaning and power of what's going on in the story. They're all simple songs, and you're invited to sing along. We invite you to give yourself over to this tradition of singing along with this music to pull you into the meaning. And we invite you to do all of this because we're leaning into the truth that this story is not just one story, but this is our story. This is a story about how God, in wanting to put the world back together again, in wanting to create a world where everyone has enough and everyone has a place, in wanting to lead us all back home to love, came into our world in Jesus to teach us this new way of being human, to restore our connection to God, each other, and ourselves, and to save us into this life and world we were always meant to have. But the powers, the systems, and institutions of the world, and even some of Jesus' own friends, they said no. In the loudest and the most violent way possible, they rejected the life and world that God was inviting us into, choosing their way instead of God's way. And so today we remember that story, not only because it's a story of our faith and one that we have to hear, but because this story is our story. We know what it's like to get caught up in the power of Jesus. We know what it's like to resist and fight and say no to love and what's good for us. We know what it's like to suffer from brokenness, death, and betrayal. We know what injustice is like. We know what it's like to have everything fall apart. We know despair and death. So as we head into this story, may you have the courage to enter into it. May you feel its power and weight. May you hear what it has to say to you and to us. Let's say a prayer. And so, God, on Good Fridays, as we gather in the heaviness of this day, we ask you to be with us. As we listen to this ancient story, help us to slow down. Help us to open our hearts. And let the words of this story, let the music of this day settle into it, knowing that you're speaking in it and through it and around it. As people who know this story, draw us into the power and tension of it, trusting that despite the heaviness, it is sacred and good, and it can speak to us. And so, God, as people of Good Fridays, may you hear our prayers. So we remember our story as if we were actually there. Jesus, our friend, our teacher, our Redeemer, he gathered all of us together at a friend's house to celebrate the Passover. And this all felt normal, which still feels like the wrong word because no matter how often we hung out with them, no matter how often we ate together, it always felt special. It always felt holy. The eating, the laughing, the learning, that feeling of being seen and loved, having our consciousness and hearts expanded, having our very souls fed, hearing truth and wisdom, experiencing this love that felt so right yet made no sense. It all felt holy. We had long ago begun to realize that to be with Jesus was to be with God. Like with God, friends with God, like seen and heard by God. And even after 3 years, it never got old. And every single moment was always full of awe and wonder. And that night was no different. We sang, we ate, we talked, we drank, we laughed. It was normal and holy. And we were still getting used to how those two things could be together. But then it all changed. After dinner was over, Jesus got up and he put on an apron. And that was wild for us to see. Our teacher, the Redeemer of the world, the very essence of the universe, God, putting on clothes of a servant. We were the ones that should have done that. We were the lesser, we were the students, the mortals, the flawed and sinful. But yet there was God putting on an apron. There was God serving us. And then to make it even more upside down, Jesus began to wash our feet, kneeling down, taking our sandals off, putting our feet in his lap, talking softly with each of us, speaking directly to our hearts, saying exactly what we needed to hear, blessing us as he washed, patting our feet dry with his apron. And when he got to Peter, Peter said what we were all thinking. Jesus, you can't wash my feet. I should be washing yours. And Jesus answered him saying, No, that's not how this works. I know you don't understand, but you soon will. This right here, this is what my way is about. This is how you join in and be a part of it. This right here is the way to God's world and the way to life as it's meant to be. And hearing that, we said, then wash all of us. That's what we want. And Jesus laughed and said, no, this is bigger than what you're seeing in front of you. Do you remember what I've been teaching you? Don't think with your heads, feel with your hearts. I don't care about your hygiene, I care about your holiness. I don't care about your outsides, I care about your insides. Guys, I'm trying to teach you how to live and how to be. Do you see it now? You call me teacher and master, and yes, that's what I am. I am the way. But it's not about worshiping me. It's about following me. If I wash your feet, you must wash each other's feet. If I serve, you serve. I've laid down a pattern for you. Kindness, compassion, justice, community, beauty, joy, service, peace. I've given you the pattern of giving and receiving, of gratitude and generosity, of letting go and gaining, of losing and winning. This, my friends, is the life-giving rhythm of God. So put on your aprons and follow my way. This is how you find the life you're looking for. This is the way to be human and alive in the world. I won't be around much longer, so let me sum it up for you. Hear this if you hear nothing else. Love one another. In the same way I've loved you, love one another. That is how everyone will recognize that you walk my way. By loving God, loving others, loving yourself, and loving creation. Love with abundant love, and you will enter into a new kind of life and help create a new kind of world. In hearing that, we sat in silence, our hearts and minds blown, not only by this radical act of love Jesus had shown us by washing our feet, but also, and more so, in the call to go and do likewise, that we could go and do likewise, that we could be a source of God's love and God's light. And right there in that moment, even if it was just for that moment, we finally got it. It all clicked. Life isn't found in power and control. It's not found in being right and knowing all the right things. It's not even found in following all the rules. It is found through this way of an apron. It's found in and through love. It's through love, this abundant, unconditional, extravagant kind of love. That's how we find peace. It's there we find the peace that we're looking for. As we all sat with the beauty of this moment, we couldn't help but feel something underneath it. It felt like Jesus was almost saying goodbye. And then, as he always did, Jesus read our hearts and he said to us, hey, don't let this throw you. Trust me, it's going to be okay. I'm on my way to get a room ready for you in God's house, and then I'll come back. So don't let worry or fear take over. You already know the road I'm taking. But Jesus, Thomas said, we have no idea where you're going. How do you expect us to know the road? And Jesus said, I am the road. I am the way, the truth, and the life. To get to life, to get to truth, you travel my way. Follow me, embody everything that I am. If you do that, you will see God. And Philip, he pleaded, Jesus, show us God. And he answered, Philip, you are not listening. To see me is to see God. If you can't believe that, believe what you see. Trust these works. Trust the way your heart feels. Trust the peace you just felt. Do not be afraid. Just because I am leaving, I am not abandoning you. I will talk to the Creator, and God will provide you with a friend. So you'll always have someone with you. And this friend is a spirit of truth and life. She will be with you just as I have been. Listen to her. Trust her. Embrace her. She will help you and guide you forward. My friends, remember, love is the way. Love with courage and do not give in to fear. You can do this. You can be this. Peace be with you. And now get up. It's time to go. And so we got up. All of us confused, but all of us now certain that this was the end. Jesus was leaving us.
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
We followed Jesus until we arrived at a garden. He said to the group, sit here. I'm going to go pray. And then turning to us, along with Peter, James, and John, he asked us to follow him into the garden. And there he fell apart in agony and distress, saying, I don't know if I can do this. I need you to pray with me. And then going a little bit further ahead, Jesus fell to the ground and he cried out, God, please, this is too hard. Can't you get me out of this? Do I have to do this? Do I need to go the whole way? And then after a moment, he softened, saying, I know I do. I know this is the way. I know we can't stop now. Give me the courage to keep going. He came back to us, but we had all fallen asleep. He woke us up and he said, you fell asleep? All you had to do was pray for me. Then he went back and he prayed again. And when he came back, he found us asleep again. Despite the fact that our friend needed us, we could not be there for him.
Stay with me.
Jesus came back a third time and said, "Wake up. It's about to happen." And no sooner were the words out of his mouth when Judas, one of our friends, someone we had laughed with and cried with and lived with, showed up with a gang sent by the high priests and government leaders, all of them carrying swords and clubs, all of them looking for a fight. Judas seemed to hesitate, but then walked up to Jesus and kissed him, saying, "My teacher." And despite the betrayal, Jesus embraced him and kissed him back, saying, "My friend." And that's when everything went wild. Thugs grabbed Jesus and threw him to the ground, and we grabbed them and threw them to the ground, and everyone started punching and kicking and fighting. But then Jesus got up, he jumped in, and he pulled us off of his attackers, yelling at us, saying, "Stop, stop. Have you learned nothing about what I stand for? Don't you remember anything I just taught you? Don't you know what I literally just said?" And then turning to the gang, he surrendered himself and was taken away. Terrified that they'd come back for us and arrest us and maybe even kill us, we all ran off. All of us going different directions, all of us giving in to fear, all of us abandoning the one that we called our teacher, our Savior, and our friend. As we ran away and hid, we could not help but ask, what would happen to him? What would happen to Jesus? Would he be killed? And if he is, what does that even mean? Does that mean he's not the Messiah? Does that mean that death and darkness win? What does that then mean for our world? What does it mean for us? Was it all a lie? Was any of it true? And not knowing what to think, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to feel, we all fell apart. The next day was Friday. In the morning, the high priest interrogated Jesus about who he was and what he was about, trying to entrap him into crimes of treason and blasphemy. Jesus spoke up to him, saying, "I've spoken openly in public. I've said nothing in secret. You've been there yourself. Why are you treating me like a terrorist? Question those who have been listening to me. Ask your own people. They know what I have said. I've said nothing that's not true." And not being able to entrap him, the high priest sent him to the governor Pilate. And Pilate came out and spoke with the chief priests and the leaders, asking, "What charges do you bring against this man?" They said, "If he's not been doing something evil, do you think we would be here?" But Pilate could not be bothered. He said, "You take him. You judge him by your law. You're the ones who are concerned about evil. Empires don't care about that." But the leaders and the authorities, they pushed back, saying, "But we're not allowed to kill anyone. We need you to do that." And realizing they wanted Jesus crucified, Pilate went back into the courthouse to interrogate Jesus. He asked him, "So you're the king of the Jews?" And Jesus answered, "Are you asking me this, or did others say this about me?" And Pilate replied, "Well, your leaders and high priests turned you over to be executed. What did you do?" And Jesus said, "I witness to the truth." So Pilate tried again, "So you are a king?" "My kingdom," Jesus answered, "isn't like the kind that you're used to. If it was, my followers would fight and free me, and we'd take it all by force. But I'm not that kind of king, and my world doesn't work like that." "Ah, so you are a king." And Jesus said, "You tell me. Everyone who cares for the truth, who has any feeling for the truth, they recognize my voice and they know that answer." And so Pilate went back to the leaders and the crowds that had begun to gather in the courtyard, and he told them, "I find no crime here. I cannot kill him. It's our custom that I pardon one prisoner at Passover. Do you want me to pardon Jesus of Nazareth?" And the religious leaders, they all shouted back, "No, pardon Barabbas." Barabbas was a terrorist, and he had killed many people. Now, those of us who had snuck back into the courtyard were in shock. We couldn't believe that people here wanted someone like that to be freed. Why would the world choose him? Why were our leaders pushing this so much? What was happening? This was not supposed to go down like this. And hearing the crowds, Pilate shrugged and took Jesus to have him whipped. The soldiers, having braided a crown of thorns, set it upon his head, threw a purple robe over him, and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" When the high priests and leaders saw Jesus, they started a chant, "Crucify, crucify." And soon it seemed like the entire crowd was shouting along, "Crucify, crucify, crucify." But Pilate told them, "You take him, you crucify him. I can't be bothered with this." And the leaders answered, "But he said he was a son of God, and therefore he must die." And when Pilate heard this, he became scared. He went back into the palace and said to Jesus, "Where did you come from?" And Jesus didn't say anything. Pilate said, "You won't talk? Don't you know that I have the authority to free you or to kill you?" And Jesus said, "You only think that you do. My power comes from a very different place than yours." And outside, the chants continued, "Crucify, crucify, crucify." So Pilate, he went back out and asked, "Am I to crucify your king?" And the high priests and the leaders, they answered, "We have no king but Caesar. This man is challenging the empire. He is a threat to everything that we know." And Pilate saw that they were right, and nobody is allowed to challenge the empire. And so he sentenced Jesus to be crucified. As they took our friend away, we couldn't understand how our own community leaders, our own teachers, we couldn't understand how the very people Jesus served, the people he fed, the ones he taught, and the ones he loved were shouting and yelling. Weren't they with us? Weren't they on our side? We could not believe it. But even more so, We couldn't believe that we were there, silent, complacent, pretending we didn't know him. And shamefully, we realized that was just as bad, and maybe even worse. After Jesus was sentenced, they forced him to carry a cross to the place where he would be killed. The clouds began to cover the sky, and it grew dark and it grew cold as everyone watched him paraded to his death. And when he got there, they stripped him, pushed him down on the cross, nailed him to it, and hoisted it up, executing him. We don't know how much time passed as we stood there and watched. Time seemed to stop. People yelled at him. People shouted out for miracles. People laughed as they waited for him to die. And then the most incredible thing happened. Something so beautiful it had to be impossible. Jesus lifted up his head and he looked at everyone. The guards, the leaders, the people, us. And he prayed, God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. After that, silence fell upon the crowd. Nobody moved. Nobody said a word. He really just said that? In all that he was feeling and all that we had done to him, he forgave us? We couldn't believe it. More minutes that felt like hours passed. And it was Jesus that finally broke the silence. Yelling out in pain and shame and in defeat, he yelled out, God, where are you? Why have you abandoned me? And with that, he lowered his head, he took his last breath, and he said, it is finished. And with a crack of thunder in the air, our friend, our rabbi, our Savior died.
We try, we fail, do too little, too late. We wish we could walk away. We hurt, we're hurt, nothing seems to work. We don't know what to say. Forgive us, forgive us. We know not what we do. Be with us, be with us. We don't know what to do. What's wrong, what's right, hard to see without sight, and blindly we come to you. Forgive us, forgive us. We know not what we do. Be with us, be with us. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to pray here, stay here. All we hope is that you're here. Help us seek justice, love, mercy. Walk humbly here. Forgive us, forgive us. We know not what we do. Be with us, be with us. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do.
This is our story. Jesus died on the cross because he said yes to a life of love. He was executed because he interrupted and threatened a world of greed, hate, and power. He was killed because he invited people to build a new kind of world, to live new kinds of lives. Because so often we skip this and look straight to Sunday, what we miss is that our story, for a short period of time, ended here, with the worst thing happening, with the unexpected happening, with despair and devastation, with injustice, violence, and death. We miss the power of Good Friday if we bypass this, because the truth is, this story isn't just central to our faith, it's also central to us. It's not just a story of God's ending, it's a story of our own endings. Because we too experience the worst things. We too experience the unexpected. We know despair and devastation and disruption. We know injustice, violence, and death. And so today we take some time to stop here and sit with this ending and all the deaths and endings we are facing. And maybe for you, that's the injustice of Jesus' death and our capacity to reject God and love and instead choose greed and evil and cause harm. Maybe for you, it's a death of hope, of faith, of innocence, dreams, a relationship, health, work, chapters, or seasons. Maybe for you, it's both. But whatever it is, this time is for you to feel it, to name it, to sit with it, to witness it, and acknowledge all of the endings that take place in our life and in our world. So after all of this, after the crowds had gotten their fix, and after everybody went back to their normal lives, a man named Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate to take the body of Jesus so he could give it a proper burial. Pilate gave permission. And Joseph and another man, a friend of Jesus' named Nicodemus, took Jesus' body and, following the Jewish burial customs, anointed his body, wrapped it in linen, and placed it in a tomb that was nearby in a garden. After this, they rolled a giant stone in front of the entrance, closing the tomb, and they left. This is our story. It is a heavy story. May you embrace it. May you struggle with it. May you sit with your endings and all of your sufferings, knowing that Sunday is coming. May peace be with you.